Hello everyone and welcome to part 3 of the Making of Franco-Belgian album series. This is alrav from Quebec, Canada, the author and creator of Alcatraz the Protector / Alcatraz le Protector. And for today's video, we'll be looking at the art process to create a comic book story in the Franco-Belgian album format. More specifically, we'll be focusing on the material to get in order to be ready to make this type of comics. So before anyone asks, all the pen, the pencils and erasers and stuff that you have at your disposition, they can be used. If you are doing something like a comic book for the first time, it will always be more expensive than if you're already in the domain, but that's not much of an issue regardless, because in principle you don't need to spend a lot of money to be able to create a comic book. All it is more about the time and having the resource in place to make them. So to create something like a Franco-Belgian style album with all the paper and stuff, it would probably cost you about around $100 or $120 and such. And on principle, you should be able to use a high-class material from a specialty art store and stuff like that, but that isn't always necessary, and I'm going to be showing you why. So in terms of the paper itself, this is the paint-on multi-technique paper that I use to create my Franco-Belgian style album that I use for Alcatraz. And this is an example of the high-class, high-quality paper. So basically, I would, to create my full comic book page, I would simply stack up two A4 size paper like these together to create an A3 size. Since in my case I couldn't find the A3, I would simply take two of these and stack them together, and then put some tape on the rear, and then that's it. I get a full comic book page ready to be made. And the thickness of it is about 250 grams per meters square. So this is the very professional style paper, very high quality. That said, it is more expensive and has only gone up thanks to inflation and stuff. So but to get high quality paper like this, you don't necessarily need the highest quality stuff, since there are sometimes dollar stores and stuff such as Dollarama in Canada or Dollar Tree in the US or any other alternative that do sometimes sell these more inexpensive alternatives such as these. This is basically a fraction of the cost of a typical paper bank that I showed before, but this time the quality itself is comparable and just as good as the other paper, so you can easily stack up a bunch of these and save a lot of money in the process. So when it comes to paper, you don't necessarily need to have the highest quality stuff, but it can be a good thing, but it is optional. Now when it comes to the inking itself, you want to have pens and such, and this is one instance where I think the higher quality stuff in specialty store is better, but again, it's not really out that much. For instance, this is the Faber-Castell pen. This is a set that contains 6 of them. There are also 4 and 8 that are available, and this is the pens that I use to create my Alcatraz comics as well as some of my other stuff from before, and they work really well, and I think 1 or 2 sets of these is enough to cover up the making of 2 albums at once. So that would be around nearly 100 pages or so. So the value that you get from a set of ink markers like these is definitely higher than the paper. So This is actually why I think the higher quality stuff, when is this case, they are alternative to Faber testers such as these, Pigma Sensate, which I actually test them out on some of the one of the unreleased short stories that I had yet to finish, since I'm focusing exclusively on the second issue now, but I did test them out on a page that I had left unfinished, and these worked really well as well. So anything in the sort of same class category is very good to be used for professional usage, so I do recommend them. Now, as for pencils, erasers, and rulers and stuff, again, this is one of sorry about that, but anything from rulers and such, you can find a cheaper alternative in dollar stores, and it will work just as well, so you don't have to worry. So once again, the key point with this particular video is to show that while the higher quality stuff that you do see in art stores and libraries and such can be better, it is not always the case. So when it comes to things such as disposable resources such as the paper and stuff, you can find alternatives that are just as good as in the professional store within the dollar stores and stuff. So be on the lookout for any possible deal. That's mostly focusing on the traditional art. If you are to do digital art or anything like that, like some people do nowadays, it can be a good thing, but just so you be careful that when you're making comic books in general, you work on mediums that are higher than the actual publication format. So if you are doing on a tablet, like let's say a small screen and stuff, you want to be very careful, because if your lines are too thin, it will show up very easily in the finished product, and that could look very messy. So that's why I do believe it is better to start up with the traditional art first. And if you are a professional who can do a lot of comic books and stuff, then you can make the jump. Personally, I made the policy to simply continue using the traditional art medium at least 50-50, simply to avoid issues such as a power outage and stuff, as well as make it feel more like an hand-drawn drawings and stuff. And that's it for today's video, folks. So let me know what you think in the commentary section below. As always, look forward to all the Alcatraz the Protector / Alcatraz the Protector stuff on my Substack. The links are available in the description below or on my channel's page. And as always, the first issue is available there in both English and French, alongside over 100 blog comic chapters that are readily available to be read, and the second issue is coming out in the months to come, so stay tuned for that. With that being said, thanks for watching, and we'll see one another very soon. Enjoy the reading.